Plus, now print more, save more. Up to $150 off your print purchase. Offer ends 11/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details or staples.com/price match for price match guarantee.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Clippers fans got some bonus basketball last night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. What they didn't get was a Clippers victory. In the first NBA regular season game in the Clippers' new arena, the Phoenix Suns held on for a 116-113 win in overtime. James Harden missed a free throw with 4 seconds left in overtime that would have tied the game. Harden then fumbled away an inbounds pass, preventing the Clippers from getting off a potential game-tying three-pointer at the buzzer. Clippers owner Steve Ballmer still had a festive sellout crowd in the building. Kevin Durant, who led the Suns with 25 points, said the Intuit Dome is already the best arena in the NBA. Another major sporting event is in Inglewood tonight. The Rams play the Minnesota Vikings at SoFi in the NFL's Thursday night matchup. 2 HBCU football teams are ranked in this week's top 25 Division I AA poll. North Carolina Central is number 21. Jackson State is 23rd. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is here for you as you make your voting plan. And we've got a few things you may want to know. In the state of California, you can register to vote all the way up until the last day to vote, which is November 5th. In LA County, you may vote at any voting center or polling place of your choosing. Early voting has already started, both in person and by mail. If you need information about your registration or any election question, call the Registrar of Voters at 800-815-2666. That's 800-815-2666, or visit lavote.gov. Once you fill out your mail-in ballot, you may drop it in any county election mailbox found outside places like libraries, or you could drop it off with a poll worker at any vote center. If you suspect election foul play, voter suppression or intimidation, or other irregularities, or if you need to know more about your rights, call the Election Protection Hotline at 1-866-OUR-VOTE. That's 866-687-8683. From any state. And if you need more information on specific candidates or propositions, check out our interviews and analysis on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, November 5th is the last day to vote, and the sooner we do it, the better. Helping you vote like your life depended on it, because it does. Your election information station, KBLA Talk 1580.
More than 270, more than enough to become the 44th President of the United States. He will be the first African-American President of the United States.
I've been broke all my life, but I kept hope all them nights. You see business in my city? Yeah, they closed all them twice. I was just riding down Salem, all them damn potholes I can't drive. I know y'all can fix it faster, but I know y'all won't try. Don't nobody care about us. And that's why I don't vote. Voted for Obama back in 2012. I remember that's when I had hope. He was saying, yes, we can. And everybody got less food stamps. And when I turned 21, I was still broke. I'd never vote again. I don't think I ever had a president make my life better. Did it all on my own. Ain't no politician ever do a nice gesture. I don't even know the mayor's name. I ain't never seen her one time ever. Tell me how she gonna help the city. What I'm supposed to do, write letters? What I'm supposed to do, blame Trump? He ain't never really gave a Ain't nobody raised minimum wage. None of these jobs pay enough. I think they just want to keep us broke, cause they ain't putting none in place for us. This how all my people feel, but we gotta learn. We complained enough, let me change it up. Everything I just said, everybody I know think the same way. See, they don't want to see us vote, and we never do, so we see the same thing. But all our votes really do count, and they'll never really let it show. So now I'm finna break it down, cause if I don't, you would probably never know. First thing first, you know back in middle school when they taught us, it was 3 branches of the government. We forgot it when we got older. It's the judicial, the legislative, and executive. But all we know is the executive. That's the mayor or the governor and the president. Now none of them 3 people make no laws, they just be checking them. The laws come to their desk and all they do is say no or yes to it. So when the news station tried to tell us that Barack Obama couldn't put us on, we was all salty at Obama when it was the Congress members all along. We gotta focus on the legislative branch, yeah, they the ones that make the laws. Yeah, they the ones write how much food stamp money you get on the card. But when people that wanted to help us wanted the job, I know they probably lost. Cause we ain't even know their name, we ain't know their face, we ain't know it all. So the Congress or the State House, that's legislative.
All right, I can play that all day long in election season. Somebody needs to play it to some of these MAGA folks. But anyway, I'm talking with Sheila Bates, and you're welcome to call in 800-920-1580. She's part of the Black Lives Matter LA policy team. She's an organizer and part of Black Lives Matter California. And so let us head to the state. You guys do have a voter guide. You can find it on Instagram at BLM Los Angeles. And you sit on some of the other socials as well, Sheila?
Yes, we do. We are on Twitter and we are on Facebook, and I believe the voter guide is on all of those platforms as well.
Okay, so starting with Measure 2, Proposition 2. When you move from the city to the state, they're meant to be called propositions, right? So Proposition 2 is more money for public schools and community college facilities. And I see that you're supporting this. This is one that I actually am thinking of voting no on, Sheila, because I was reading how the fact that it's first come, first serve, and they're requiring matching funds will advantage richer schools. So I'm worried, because we're probably not going to pass another bond measure for another 10 years, that too much of this money will end up going to schools that are already wealthy. What can you say about that?
I mean, I think that's a really good point, and it's something we absolutely considered, but also, again, thinking about the state of disrepair of so many of our schools, both public school and community college facilities. We absolutely value education, and we know that that is one of the places where our kids are criminalized, where one of the places where our children do not have access to the same resources, and, are in far less modernized schools and are in schools in disrepair. That, yes, absolutely, although we have grave concerns around the fact that it does require matching funds and how some of that could play out, we don't know if another bond measure is coming, and so we know that our schools and our students absolutely need access to these resources, and so we ultimately decided that we were going to be in support of this proposition, hoping that, things will go as they should, and that the schools who need it the most and our students who need it the most are able to get access to and benefit from this.
So you're not confident that there would be a do-over? You kind of feel like if 2 doesn't pass, we might not get another bite at the apple?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, moving on to 4. This is the climate justice bond for drinking water, wildfire prevention, and water infrastructure as well.
Yes, and so we absolutely support Proposition 4 because we do know that, I currently actually live in Long Beach, and we just had my parents live in North Long Beach, and they were on a boil water advisory because there was a rupture in one of our main lines, and it affected the water pressure, and they didn't know if the water was safe to drink. And we know that that's happening, around the state. And, thinking about what happened in Flint, Michigan, right, that we absolutely need to make sure that our drinking water is safe. That is a basic fundamental human right. We know that with climate change, that wildfires are not only becoming more frequent, and that fire season is getting, longer and is extending on both sides of the season, but also that fires are bigger and they're lasting longer, and we need to make sure that we do what we can to prevent them in the first place, especially thinking about how the fact that oftentimes our incarcerated siblings are out there on the line, right? And we need to make sure that we prevent these wildfires from happening in the first place. And we do believe that we need to also protect our communities and natural lands around other climate risks that exist and that are only going to get worse because, unfortunately, enough is not being done at other levels of government. And so we need to make sure that we do what we can here as a state to get that $10 billion in bonds of state funds to local parks and environmental protection projects, and to make sure that our water infrastructure is where it needs to be so that water is safe and clean. And
my understanding is tens of millions are coming to the Baldwin Hills Conservancy specifically, so to Kennethon Park and, the Baldwin Hill Scenic Overlook, etc. Also, I was reading from my fiscally conservative friends that if we don't do some of these fixes now, they will end up costing about 10 times more in another decade. So I didn't mean to skip over Prop 3. Prop 3 is the marriage equality.
We are a strong yes on Measure 3. This would repeal Proposition 8 and establish a right to marry within California. It would actually give a constitutional right. And as we are, continuing to live in a country where our rights are being stripped away, where we just lost the, constitutional right, well, at the federal government, at the federal level, we no longer have a guaranteed access to abortion rights, that we know that we need to make sure that other rights are protected at the state level. We cannot play around with this because we don't know what's going to happen. The Supreme Court has made some really detrimental decisions that are having long-lasting impacts on our freedoms and our rights, and we want to make sure that California has the right to be able to, that Californians have the right to be able to marry who they love. And we know that this is absolutely necessary and that we need to repeal Proposition 8, which should have never passed in the first place. And we are queer affirming as an organization. And this is about making sure that people can love who they want to love. It's basic, right? It's because it's not just about the ability to marry, right? But it's all the rights that come with the right to marry, right? Because if somebody is in a hospital, right, that determines whether or not their loved one can make decisions, their life partner can make decisions for them or can even see them. And so this can affect so many different other rights that fall under the, right to marry.
Yeah. Absolutely. Health benefits, et cetera, et cetera. We already did 4, moving on to 5, which is taking the level needed to pass bonds from 65% to 55%. I see you are supporting a yes on 5. Why?
Yes, we are supporting a yes on 5 because really what is important here is that, again, we're talking about housing and public infrastructure, right? And the 65% it's a really high barrier. It really prevents money from coming down from the state to be able to make sure that we do have affordable housing and that we're able to create the mechanisms that are necessary to do so, and we're able to do the work on the ground to make sure that that's happening. And so lowering the percentage of the threshold from 2/3 to 55% absolutely makes it a little bit easier for some of those things to happen, and whatever we can do to chip away at the barriers that currently exist to affordable housing, we need to do. And it's still over a majority, right? That's still slightly above 50%. It still requires more than just a coin toss for this to happen. And it's necessary so that people can get access to housing and that it can be more affordable. And we need to remember that affordable is very much widely varies based upon, where people are. And that even oftentimes what they consider affordable is not affordable.
Okay, we got 6 more of these to do, Sheila, so we're going to have to speed up a little bit here.
Okay, I'm going to keep
Proposition 6, or I'll keep you here all day. You'll miss everything else you got going on. Proposition 6 outlaws involuntary servitude. Why is this controversial at all?
It shouldn't be. Just a brief, real quick history lesson, because we were not taught these things, right, is that oftentimes people try to say that California entered the Union as a free state. It technically did not. You could not buy and sell people, which is disgusting that when we're even having to talk about this, right? But you could not buy and sell people in the state of California. But if you already were enslaving somebody, you could bring them to California and continue to, quote unquote, own them. Right. And so California was never really truly a free state. And then we also know that the 13th Amendment did not actually truly abolish slavery. It simply said that, well, not even simply, it's complex, but it changed it so that you could enslave somebody under the guise of, quote unquote, punishment. right? And so this means that our incarcerated siblings are forced to do work. And we're talking to Sam the other day, who was at, brother Sam, who was at our forum, and he's telling the story about how he was forced to clean up after somebody in the midst of COVID, and that he really thought that his life was in jeopardy, and it was. And so, and he's like, he couldn't say no. And so, this is about changing the material conditions and living conditions of prisons and making sure that people have the right to say no, and that they are not, they are not inflicted by involuntary servitude and are not literally looked at and treated as people who are enslaved.
Proposition 32, I see you support this. This is raising the minimum wage.
Yes, we are absolutely in support because, affordability, housing, all of the things that we've already spoken of, it just would increase the state's minimum wage to $18 per hour. That's still not a living wage, but it's getting us closer to it.
Prop 33, folks seem to be confused. We already talked about it a little bit. I see you support, as do I, yes on 33.
Yes on 33. Repeal Costa-Hawkins.
34, this is more confusing. Restricts, this is what they call the revenge measure, right? It restricts what nonprofits can spend their money on. You're opposing it.
We are. So this requires healthcare providers to spend 98% of their revenues from federal discount prescription drug program on direct services. And, it really was deeply concerning that, that there's, again, around policy, there are two things. I feel like a broken record, right? The devil's in the details, and implementation is key. And after really looking into this, that we decided that we were a no on this proposition because it does, there's too many, we already have a lot of red tape, right? And we need to make sure that people have the ability to make the decisions that need to be made, right? And that restricting funds further is not going to be helpful.
Yeah, okay. And then 35, you take no position on this. This provides permanent funding for Medi-Cal, you say, healthcare services. I had decided to vote no. I'm still planning to vote no. But I got an email on yesterday from MLK Hospital urging a yes vote, which really confused me. I honestly think I'm still going to vote no, but I'm going to look a little deeper into why they are suggesting a yes vote.
Yes, so we actually ended up being no position in this as well, mainly because of the fact that there was some, we were, as a committee, we were a little unsure of where we ultimately wanted to land on this. And so we thought that it was better to move forward with a no position because we were unsure, because this is another one of those really controversial, really confusing propositions. And although we did a deep analysis, we could not all land on the same place. And so we ultimately decided that it made sense to take no position because internally we were also unsure of where we ultimately wanted to land. And I think there's something to be said about the fact that both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are both in support of this, which is, that's troubling in of itself, and oftentimes makes you wonder, what are we missing? What is not being written here that they're already thinking about?
Yeah, and I'm always wary of things that lock in general funds to a specific formula, and then you have this really high bar to undo that balloting through budgeting by proposition. Prop 36, I see you guys take a no. Not at all surprised by this, but maybe you want to put a fine point on it.
We are absolutely against Prop 36 because this would increase penalties for certain drug crimes and thefts. This really actually is going to undo Proposition 47, right? And so what's interesting is that it actually makes it so that certain crimes would be conditional that they have to go to drug treatment facilities. But simultaneously, by undoing parts of Prop 47, they are missing some of those funds that were redirected from the state ended up saving money by reclassifying certain crimes from felonies to misdemeanors. And that money was redirected to treatment facilities. But now all of that money by repealing Prop 47 would actually would disappear. So some of those funds would dry up. And considering all of the other things that are going on in the state, that money's not going to be replaced, which then means that you're going to mandate treatment facility, but we're going to be ending up having to close down treatment facilities simultaneously. So where would these people go? They're going to end up in jail. And we know that you can't get well in a cell. We know that drugs are absolutely rampant in prisons and in jails. And so we need to make sure that people are also that they get the treatment that they need, right? That we do not criminalize these things, that instead we make sure that people get access to the care that they need and the support that they need to make sure that they are safe and that they are well, which then means that our communities are safe as well.
Sheila Bates, thanks for going through the BLMLA ballot recommendations with us. And again, you can find them at BLM Los Angeles on Instagram and on Twitter and Facebook. Appreciate your time this morning.
Appreciate your time. Thank you for having us, Sister Dominique, and thank you for really, digging into this. It's super important. We are honored to be on the show.
Now, if you can tell me about the water board. No, anyway, we're going to take your phone calls now. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair's gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears, thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears, thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And it does indeed. So lot of issues going on, and you are welcome to call in and air them out. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. I started going through my ballot, and I will continue that. Folks keep asking me to do it, so I'm going to keep doing it. You're right, Molly Bell, Los Angeles and Compton don't have the same things as far as city measures, but they will when it comes to statewide measures. And so, sadly, I have not gone through the Compton measures and haven't figured all of those out yet. Yesterday, one of our friendly neighborhood trolls called in talking about how the LA Times editorial board has decided not to endorse any candidate in the race for president. And that is very unusual, especially since Kamala Harris is from California. We tend to be a blue state. She served as a senator for our state, an attorney general, and also a district attorney in San Francisco. But the board decided not to, and the owner, Patrick Soon-Shiong, decided not to make an endorsement in the presidential race. And for me, this tracks with what I consider to be a long history by the Los Angeles Times of undermining black electeds. It's one of the things they do. I've been watching this since I moved to this town. I'm an LA Times subscriber. I read that paper almost every day. The editorial board wanted to endorse Kamala Harris, but the owner said no endorsement. Now, whether that's because he's a billionaire and billionaires are more and more buying up newspapers, that's a thing now, or whether it's because, as rumored, his daughter, who is considered highly progressive, wants a third-party candidate and therefore block that endorsement. Whatever the reason, it ends up falling into a long tradition of the Los Angeles Times undermining black candidates, doing a sloppy job the way they report on black candidates, and seemingly having a double standard between the way they judge and assess and report on black candidates and everybody else. It's one of the reasons why I once canceled my subscription to the LA Times. Then I relented and resubscribed. But the head of their editorial board resigned yesterday because of this move by the owner. Her name is Mariel Garza. She was the editorials editor, and she said, quote, she told the Columbia Journalism Review, quote, "I want to make it clear that I am not okay with us being silent. In dangerous times, honest people need to stand up. This is how I am standing up." Those kind of positions are hard fought for. You just don't easily say, "I walk." And the fact that she is coming out, and this is a story, a national story, it's in the New York Times, not in the LA Times, surprise, surprise, and saying that the board had decided to endorse Kamala Harris, but the owner overrode them and did not explain why. That's the power of the billionaire, and that's the problem with the billionaire owning a paper. If it was because your daughter wanted to support a third party, then go ahead and endorse Weston Abdullah or Jill Stein. If it's because you're a billionaire and you want, the Trump tax cuts, then go ahead and admit that. Perfect time to call me. News, traffic, and sports, then more on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Stocks are tanking on Wall Street. This comes as Treasury yields rise as investors have concerns the Federal Reserve may not cut interest rates at their next meeting. The first patient to undergo a new gene therapy treatment for sickle cell disease is out of the hospital. 12-year-old Kendrick Cromer left Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. earlier this week, where he had spent 44 days with the therapy. The FBI is investigating a U.S. intelligence leak on Israel's plan for a retaliatory strike on Iran. Reportedly, the material marked top secret was posted to the Telegram messaging app last Friday. The agency said it's working with the Defense Department to look into the leak. And Martha Stewart is the focus of a new documentary out later this month. Stewart has opened up with personal interviews, never-before-seen photos, letters, and diary entries. Martha will be available on Netflix October 30th. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Staples prints anything you need for your business, like banners, flyers, and signs. And Staples will beat any price quote. Plus, now print more, save more, up to $150 off your print purchase. Offer ends 11/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details or staples.com/price match for price match guarantee.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Clippers fans got some bonus basketball last night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. What they didn't get was a Clippers victory. In the first NBA regular season game in the Clippers' new arena, the Phoenix Suns held on for a 116-113 win in overtime. James Harden missed a free throw with 4 seconds left in overtime that would have tied the game. Harden then fumbled away an inbounds pass, preventing the Clippers from getting off a potential game-tying three-pointer at the buzzer. Clippers owner Steve Ballmer still had a festive sellout crowd in the building. Kevin Durant, who led the Suns with 25 points, said the Intuit Dome is already the best arena in the NBA. Another major sporting event is in Inglewood tonight. The Rams play the Minnesota Vikings at SoFi in the NFL's Thursday night matchup. 2 HBCU football teams are ranked in this week's top 25 Division I AA poll. North Carolina Central is number 21. Jackson State is 23rd. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Environmental justice is racial justice.
Environmental justice is social justice.
This is KBLA Talk 1580.
Medicare open enrollment is here, and it's a time you can make changes to your health coverage. Yet, watch out for enrollment and marketing scams. Remember, Medicare will neither call you nor solicit your business. Guard your card. Never give out your Medicare number to strangers. Unsolicited calls, door-to-door visits, and emails are prohibited. Take your time. Don't feel pressured to make a quick decision. Report scams to our California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Did you know every 3 seconds someone is a victim of identity theft? LifeLock wants to give you helpful tips to protect your identity this Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Adding multi-factor authentication, like a text with a security code, is one way to boost your security. But for comprehensive protection, trust LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal info and steps in to resolve issues that arise, guaranteed or your money back. Protect yourself with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
And it's Scholarly Match. Today could be you, 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. So the billionaire owner of the Los Angeles Times, Patrick Soon-Shiong, has said that that is not true. He is basically calling his own former editorials editor a liar. He says that the editorial board failed to follow through on a directive to draft a factual analysis of all the positive and negative policies by each candidate during their tenures at the White House and how these policies affected the nation, which sounds like BS. I just can't imagine the editorial board at the Times failing to do their job and do an analysis. And it's interesting that he says each candidate during their tenures at the White House, since Kamala Harris is the vice president, so she does not have control over the policies. Only one was president, so that's interesting. He says, with this clear and nonpartisan information side by side, our readers could decide who would be worthy of being president for the next 4 years. So in other words, he wanted to do pros and cons of each and not have an endorsement. They wanted an endorsement. She stepped down, and she says in a text to the New York Times that what he outlines in that tweet is not an endorsement or even an editorial. The union leadership said they were very concerned. Now, LA Times now has their union, and their leadership saying they're very concerned about Soon-Shiong's decision to override his own editorial board. And see, this is the danger of having billionaires owning major media outlets, just as Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, which I also subscribe to. But at least they are more upfront about saying in articles, oh, by the way, Jeff Bezos owns us. They say, the union says, we are even more concerned that he is now unfairly assigning blame to editorial board members for his decision not to endorse. The newspaper has endorsed a Democrat for president in every election cycle since 2008. They have endorsed candidates for city, for state, for county races. And this is a big deal. And the fact that this woman, their editorials editor is like, peace out, you don't get to silence us. That's some pretty serious business. If you want to see her entire resignation letter, you can go to the Columbia Journalism Review. And one of her points is that it matters that one of the biggest newspapers in the state of California declined to endorse and erase this important, and it matters that we won't even be straight with people about it. It makes us look craven and hypocritical and maybe even a bit sexist and racist. Well, couldn't have said it better myself. And as I've said, you own the doggone thing. You can say, well, I like Trump and I'm a billionaire, so I want his tax cuts. Or you can say, well, my daughter is supposedly, an activist radical and she wants me to endorse Weston Abdullah or Jill Stein or whoever. So then do that. Don't be a liar. Don't be hiding what you're doing, why you're doing it, and giving Republicans, as you saw in yesterday's show, a ready-made talking point. Let's go to Shayon calling from Long Beach. Good morning, Shayon.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. What's on your mind this fine day?
This fine day. Oh, wow. I was wondering, I know you guys probably seen the story of the general.
General Kelly. No. What's his name? Yeah. It's a number of generals by now, but you're talking about
I want you guys to
General
be
Kelly, yeah.
more like Adolf Hitler's generals.
Right.
And
General
so
John
if
Kelly,
that-
who
if
says
that
that Trump was saying he needs Hitler's generals. That's a laugh to keep
Yeah.
from crying laugh, Shayon.
that and you was talking about media, and the very next day around the country, none of the major papers headlines mentioned that. They didn't like. But I guess basically what I'm trying to say is that media is obviously in the bed. They've been in the bed. They was in the bed with the Bush administration and the Iraq War and the WMDs, and then they came out and apologized. This fake apology, oh, we should have did better, and informed the people that there was no weapons. No, you were in the bed. Just
Well,
like
here's
they
the thing,
in
Shayon.
the bed now.
That's why I say this trope of the liberal media is bull. A lot of the media is owned and controlled by conservative billionaires.
Well, why do you think that is? Because they want to control the information from the people.
Yeah.
So just like the owner of the LA Times, right? You were just talking about that guy.
Mm-hmm.
They all the billionaires, if you look, all the billionaires all agree on the same thing. Let's keep the people stupid through what? Print and visual media. The more information we can keep from them, the better off we are at what we're trying to accomplish, which is we want to keep all the money and all the resources to ourselves and keep all the power. But a lot of times that the way that they accomplish that to a certain degree is putting in totalitarian governments, smashing the people.
Yeah. Well,
they don't have a problem with that.
And the thing about it is that John Kelly, General John Kelly said that Trump praised Hitler's generals and that he's praised Hitler, but it's not like he's some outlier. I mean, because there's a number of former Trump officials, high-level officials, that have said similar things, right?
Oh, let me say this also about some of the other people that served in his administration and before that, and that hide behind the scenes like Mitt Romney and all of them. They're talking about, well, they say this stuff about Trump privately to reporters, but won't come out publicly. They not patriots. They cowards. Let's just be clear. They're not patriots. They're not for the United States constitutional republic that was established in the 1700s.
No, I think you're right. And I was pleasantly surprised that Vice President Kamala Harris yesterday said that she believes that former Vice President Donald Trump is a fascist, and then she kind of calmly went and detailed why she thinks that. I was expecting her to do more of the politician dodge. Well, it could be maybe if it walks like a fascist, but no, she just said yes, I do. I believe he's a fascist. And then she went on to explain why.
Well, let me say this for a lot of people that look like you and I.
Yes,
and it's another thing that they keep out of the public, right, and out of the press. He's under indictment by special counsel Jack Smith. One of the major counts that he indicted under is the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act. You just don't indict a former president under the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act without no basis. But the media don't talk about that. And a lot of that people that look like you and I, they don't know that either. He's currently under indictment by Jack Smith under the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act, people.
I do remember reading that. The other thing, this is just rumor and speculation. Unlike other shows, I tell you when we're doing rumor and speculation. The rumor and speculation now is that Trump just wants to get elected so that he can step down, get pardoned, and have this joker J.D. Vance as the president, which is actually quite chilling should that be the case.
But let me ask you this. When did Adolf Hitler step down and let General Rommel run the show? Come on, let's not be stupid.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact of the matter is, most narcissistic personalities are not ever going to leave the stage until the fat lady sings.
Okay, let me say this last thing, and I know you got other callers, and I got to go as well. For those of us that look like us, that like Donald John Trump, let me just say this. his chief of staff just said he has a disgrace in his general. You want to use the military and his generals, and you want them to be more like Hitler. Let me just show you what's in the Holocaust Encyclopedia. Y'all can look this up. Don't take my word for it. It says Nazi persecutions of black people in Germany. Y'all have a nice day.
Yeah, I mean, that is a great point, Sean, and it's not discussed a lot, but in fact, there were quite a few black people terrorized inside of Germany as part of that fascist reign. The Fox News machine trying to spin it. Brian Kilmeade said maybe Trump wasn't fully cognizant about the German generals who were Nazis, whatever. Like, so your defense is maybe your president is a dumbass? Like, that's your defense? Yeah. And I'm laughing because it's so absurd, but this is actually quite serious. I mean, this is a man who just said we need one good day of rough policing, who has said that police should have complete immunity from prosecution. And now he's telling you, Maya Angelou said, when people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. Speaking of that, if we get a free day around here, we might have to go line by line in that rather fascinating interview between Tavis Smiley and Jill Stein on yesterday. I'll say this. I don't have time to go all the way into it today, but Democrats and Republicans are always sending us suggested questions and talking points. That's not unusual. Maybe Tavis's producers throw them away before bothering him with them. I hate that. I write the questions. That is my job. I don't want you to send me questions. Send me a bio. You can send me any articles you want me to read. That's fine. I'll read them. Don't write my questions. Don't write my talking points. But publicists today seem to be rabidly insistent on doing so, not understanding that I can tell you anything. I don't have to ask, sure, and then I'll just throw your questions away. That's not unusual. What's unusual is journalists complying with it. That's what's new and scary. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This is a place where we're amplifying black and progressive voices all day long. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Which superhero movie is this?
This is my favorite part, when they all come together in the name of justice.
You know, you could do that too.
Oh yeah? How?
What you just described is what happens when black folks vote.
Mm-hmm.
When we come together and vote using our power, we win and get leaders who will protect our rights, lower housing costs.
All right, let's go together.
Yeah?
I mean, we gotta unite in the name of justice.
And vote like our lives depend on it.
Paid for by NAACP.
Chevy, All the Things 2024 Truck Season Radio 30, code GWMR 0294000.
This truck season, think about all the things you can do in a Chevy truck. You'll be able to, or you can even just, with impressive towing, incredible bed and tailgate functionality, and multiple powertrains, Chevy trucks have what you need to get things done. When you want to do it all, Chevy's got you. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Black Women for Wellness and Stand LA are standing up against harmful oil drilling in South Los Angeles. Our Bad Neighbors campaign exposes the serious health risks of drilling in our neighborhoods. You've seen the billboards, posters, and coffee sleeves around South LA. Now join the movement to protect our health, our families, and our future.
Visit bwwla.org/no-drilling to learn more and get involved. That's bwwla.org/no-drilling.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help, and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
We don't, and we know you don't either. So call me and bring it, 800-920-1580. As usual, the chat is robust, and you can find out by going to youtube.com, then putting in KBLA 1580. You can find us everywhere on social media at KBLA 1580. Find me personally at DiPrima Radio, and I would love to talk to you before, during, and after the show. Please like, follow, subscribe. Talk smack. That's what we do. Jeanette from Inglewood taking advantage of our amnesty this week, and you're welcome to do the same. 800-920-1580. Hi, Jeanette.
Good morning, Dominique. Thank you so much for taking my call. You know, I really wanted to share this because I think it's very important as far as the voting is concerned. I just learned from listening to Jamie Harrison, who's the Democratic chair. He said if you run into any kind of problems while you're trying to vote, whether standing in line or you don't know where to go and vote or anything like that, he said you can go to iwillvote.com or text vote 7888. There are lawyers there that will help you right away because they want to make sure that these elections is pure, for the lack of a better way of saying it.
Yeah, we also have a spot running, a PSA running with a number of other numbers, but that's great information because typically you can get information from your state, from your Secretary of State's office, from your county. In LA County, the Registrar of Voters, but every county has their own Registrar of Voters. They have numbers. And then Common Cause has an election protection hotline. And they also have legal, some lawyers and some people who are just trained in election law. So there's really a lot of great resources, and I thank you for bringing that to our attention.
One more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
One last thing. I just want to say to everybody that says they are going to vote, please go and do it, because remember, Trump said to the Secretary of State of Georgia, find 11,780 votes. So this time, you know that your vote does matter, it counts, and you also see how important it is, because he wanted those votes. So when it's all over, we can say, because of my vote, she had a landslide win. Thank you, Kamala. And
yes.
Thank you, Dominique, for taking my call.
Absolutely, and thank you for thinking these things through. This is where the word of mouth, this is where the door knocking, this is where the getting your disengaged uncle or your distracted teenager to actually fill out their ballot and turn it in. Right now, you still have time to put it in the regular mail. You always have time to put it, until November 5th in a county drop box. You could take it to a vote center and hand it to a poll worker. The election protection hotline is 866-RVOTE, which is also 866-687-8683. The resources that Jeanette mentioned from the Democratic National Convention, those are also legit. These are in state. These are, these are in election resources. So what I love about the election protection hotline, they can answer your question about regular election stuff, but they could also, if you suspect voter fraud or intimidation, suppression, you can call them and they'll tell you what to do. They have it in English and Spanish and Asian and Arabic languages, but in English it's 866-687-8683, 866-687-8683, and that's a nonpartisan organization that is really concerned with your right to vote. Oh, we got Paul on the line calling from LA. Good morning, Paul. Paul, are you with me?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
Good morning, Dominique.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to throw something out there from looking at the early voting that's going on right now, and just my perspective, because I could end up wrong on it. I'm focusing less on party, because obviously, early voting is not going to be 2020 is not going to be a good year to look at, because obviously everybody was in the house during COVID, right? You're going to have more people like myself that are going to go in and vote themselves. But what I'm really focusing at is not just parties, but I'm looking at the gender gap.
Yeah.
Women are old right now, and there is a wide gap. And a lot of those Republicans and not NPAs that are voting are women. So don't think that they won't go on the top of that ticket and vote Harris, too, because of what's happened with the Dobbs decision. Do you have thoughts on that?
No, I think that's right. I hope that's right. I don't know. I mean, this is going to sound bad. I'm not a racist, but I don't trust the white women. They've let us down so many times in other elections where you would think, you would think they would vote their interests, but they vote their privilege. Hopefully, they're fed up, fired up, and this is a bridge too far. Hopefully, the Taylor Swift effect is in effect. Hopefully, they understand they can vote and not tell their husbands and boyfriends how they voted. And I'm optimistic that is happening, but I wouldn't. I don't know.
Put all your eggs in a basket.
Yeah, because it's been problematic historically.
Definitely. I do agree with that. I would tell you this, though, from what we do know is Harris has pulled a lot of the suburban white vote, but then the non-college educated, that's where Trump gets the bulk of his overall. But I don't know if you got a chance to see this morning, the PPIC that came out, the report that came out from the propositions in California, and this is like the gold standard out here. And a lot of the propositions that we were saying, this media has really brainwashed people into really wanting to take us back, thinking that images they see in the media and things they hear 24/7 in white mainstream media is reality. And I think it's really sad that history is going to repeat itself if this holds up overall. And I'll send it to you, Dominique, so you see it more.
The
context.
Public Policy
really
Institute of California is what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, they on Prop 3, on Prop 3, 67% yes, 32% no, but on Prop 6, 41% yes, 56% no.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, why is this even controversial? So you want to keep involuntary servitude. That's
exactly.
I mean, but Louisiana can vote it out. California is bipolar, though. We always have to remember that California is Republican country. It's home of the DA's race is another example. It's the home of many a KKK chapter. It is a bipolar state. When you look at the cities, it's one thing. When you go to the center and to Orange County, it's absolutely another.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And this is just in my opinion, this is where I believe in some ways as people, as Black people, we continue to come together and we need to kind of recalibrate. If in the 50s there wasn't a large percentage of Black people, but they accomplished a lot and eventually got to the Civil Rights Act, maybe we need to recalibrate with how we move compared to thinking morally people are going to see things a certain way, but in reality they end up voting a certain way every time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that 67% of Democrats, according to this, are supporting Prop 36 is very terrible, with Republicans at 86%, because it's really a massive money giveaway to the prison industrial complex. That's really what it is. We've already tightened penalties for retail theft. We've already done that. So really what you're doing is transferring money away from services and putting them into the prison industrial complex. If this polling is right, it looks like 36 will pass overwhelmingly and 33 will fail. So Paul, thank you for your call. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and then some special guests, JJ88 and Richie Reseda, join us in studio next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Stocks are tanking on Wall Street. This comes as Treasury yields rise as investors have concerns the Federal Reserve may not cut interest rates at their next meeting. The first patient to undergo a new gene therapy treatment for sickle cell disease is out of the hospital. 12-year-old Kendrick Cromer left Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. earlier this week, where he had spent 44 days with the therapy. The FBI is investigating a U.S. intelligence leak on Israel's plan for a retaliatory strike on Iran. Reportedly, the material marked top secret was posted to the Telegram messaging app last Friday. The agency said it's working with the Defense Department to look into the leak. And Martha Stewart is the focus of a new documentary out later this month. Stewart has opened up with personal interviews, never-before-seen photos, letters, and diary entries. Martha will be available on Netflix October 30th. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Staples prints anything you need for your business, like banners, flyers, and signs. And Staples will beat any price quote. Plus, now print more, save more, up to $150 off your print purchase. Offer ends 11/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details or staples.com/price match for price match guarantee.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Clippers fans got some bonus basketball last night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. What they didn't get was a Clippers victory. In the first NBA regular season game in the Clippers' new arena, the Phoenix Suns held on for a 116-113 win in overtime. James Harden missed a free throw with 4 seconds left in overtime that would have tied the game. Harden then fumbled away an inbounds pass, preventing the Clippers from getting off a potential game-tying three-pointer at the buzzer. Clippers owner Steve Ballmer still had a festive sellout crowd in the building. Kevin Durant, who led the Suns with 25 points, said the Intuit Dome is already the best arena in the NBA. Another major sporting event is in Inglewood tonight. The Rams play the Minnesota Vikings at SoFi in the NFL's Thursday night matchup. 2 HBCU is number 21. Jackson State is 23rd. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute.